tracks that you can ski on or you can DJ with. And so I will DJ some of those tracks, and the first one is called Let Me Explain, which is supposed to be a preface. A sentence starts in the diverse. It matters because it tries not to definitely limit its inexhaustible progression. It defies the indecent laziness of closure. It bets that there will be objects, images, words, bodies, forms, situations, facts, intersections, and queries in fiction. It resists. It takes light, lively experience and progresses without going too far. In a sense, lazing about at times, but not at all betting on its own end. Nimble, it practices corrosive multiplicity. It's the moment at which certain facts, having not yet being reduced to concept, it feeds on the indecency of a relative quality. And yet, if the sentence carries the fiction along, why ask? The inquiry searches through the diverse. Interrogate words, questions those being born and those dying out, those in danger, those disappearing, those alive and those not alive, those in the sites in between, and those that don't yet exist. Question the pertinence of detail, its effects, its field of action. Look both ways. Turn the questioning back on itself infinitely. Question the basis of the desire to inquire. If the sentence forms projection screens, why and how should it be shown? It could be shown in diverse ways. It leaves, it launches, it creates, it displays, it warns, it aims. Its elegance is sometimes contradictory. Eloquence is not its job. It is understood as a proposition. At times, it can be a blank space. It barely misses being an original. It grows through approximation, perhaps. It invents itself in disparate times. Mini theory of translation. It throws the text to the ground, puts it in a hold that keeps it there, boom. Sometimes the text picks up the translation. Sometimes the translation picks up the text, boom. There is, between translation and the text, a seemingly settled relationship. The translation sometimes surrenders all, though it was especially asked to sit down and take form. It can refuse to cooperate with those who would like to constrain its more subtle moves. It can reply if it wants, using a few gymnastics, some athletic gestures, sometimes unconscious, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. And breathe. And so here we are. There will be no labels. They don't exist yet. Or else they've stopped to oscillate, flicker, zigzag, striate, deviate. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. You can hear me okay without the mic? Yeah, great. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is, at the minute, we're not planning to do a traditional break. We're going to have some music at the halfway point to keep things fresh. But because we have quite a few readers, we just want to say, don't be shy if you want to get up, go to the bathroom, get a glass of water. The bathroom is just to the left as you leave this room. Yeah, and there's more artwork through there as well. There's books to browse. So yeah, we're doing a sort of an untraditional way of doing a break. But if we get to the halfway point and there is a demand for a break, we will do it. I'll check the pulse. Okay, so I am slated to read next. I'm going to dash through a short extract from a longer poem before I introduce our next reader. So this is from Everything Nearly, and there's an epigraph from I didn't bring the epigraph with me, but it's from Berrada. And basically, the gist of it, and there's probably a lot more nuance to it, is, you know, if you stay silent on a single thing, then you haven't really spoken. Anyway. The cloud, the skyline, hueless, save less for the queue, white repetitious. I was fantasizing about landlords dying out loud, enough for their tenants to hear from across the sea. Minute by minute, I am longing for a less than chemical pine, fortunate to find myself around, as in walking rings around, tired pine. It hurts behind my eyes, the pine. Rings, rings, look underneath where my eyes were. I was used to being limber, I make an awful sound, tired, horrid, nothing to see nonsense, all tired, lewd, eluding, the best, most magic of us abide. The sheep afraid of the pines too, of the ending too, the detox, the holly from fernless a parable. There are so many kinds and so many kinds. The vicar's mead, raven's wing gone by now, little by care, more rich gone down. No second fuss, the moisture was intolerable, and suppose I'm fine, I listen, speak, press my knee to my calf to make a yellow circle. When the moisture is intolerable, lift, I replenish colour coding from spring so far. Suppose it was bleak midwinter shouting the day long, nobody half dead still down tonight. Stone grey on scaffold grey, another winter, a sooner in winter the dietary changes were giving the cats diarrhea, carnivorate nighttime demolition jobs. I'm sure a pine around here, somewhere I'll find it in the morning wind chime, window calling such for sakes, forgetting the name of such dream catchers, jigsaws saving the world, wind chime launching otherwise rescues against what is left of glass, never streaming in opt-out heat of this is what a gull in a turbine sounds like, but worse. Unclear who said so, dark we could not see the ridding ourselves, waking ourselves, fully warm, brown turned, steamed eyes dry. See, she has forgiven us, please lie still. What in the wind saw nothing of this? What in the wind rushes one by one, the down thought passed one by one, the other touching lightly another. Winter, all nothing saw of one clutching the arm, rolling away from the other, touching lightly the arm, for it is a warm and substantial offering, affecting no additional warmth. Unseasonable air has nothing to do with it. No snow on a winter's night is longer the various it was. Quiet it was a joke then too now. The air anyway, the air reprieves a slow dive for the gull anyway. Morning, simple to say, it's so hard to see the subtle smell of over-long boiled water, leveled down, skimmed like milk, insane the page Christ, the exhausted bones of, doom-scrolling wind to see, was it time, early shutter, everywhere east of the west coast. Let the light's first heave of day, wherever it's merciless, light something like sub-zero bright the sky on scaffold grey, stone hard to see the squirrel grey, marble deer grey, sinus bit alternative grey, granite descriptors becoming themselves grey the sky. It was trusting hand in hand and brief before cold what we were missing in before our eyes. Had we the pupils had, yes, had we, yes, oh dearly. It's me great pleasure to introduce Mónica de Torre. She is a poet and essayist born and raised in Mexico City. Her most recent book, Repetition 19 with Nightboat, centers on experimental translation. Other books include The Happy End, All Welcome from Ugly Duckling Press, a riff on Kafka's America and Public Domain. She has published several books in Spanish, including Taller de Mecanografía, I did practice that earlier, written jointly with the eponymous Women Artists Collective she co-founded. With Alex Bauju, she co-edited the anthology Women in Concrete Poetry from 1959 to 79. She is a recipient of the 22 Foundation for Contemporary Arts, the C.D. Wright Award for Poetry, and a 2022 Creative Capital Grant. Mónica teaches poetry at Brooklyn College. Please give her a warm hand.
People feel that way. I'm like, I need to come up with a different one so that doesn't happen. like, you don't need to know. You know this, or you don't, or you don't need to know. In any case, it's so great to be here and reading with Vincent in honor of this incredible book. Your piece with Charles was reminding me of a poem. Louder! Okay, it was reminding me of a poem where I wrote it a long time ago, but it's only in Spanish, and it's sí, no? No, sí. Sí, sí, no. Sí, no, sí. 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 No, no, no. Sí, no. No, no. And it all makes sense. It's just sí and no. Anyway, I thought I'd try to retrieve it from memory. It's been a long time. But your performance was so inspiring, I had to give it a go. So I'm reading a piece called Parable. Can you hear me now? Is this good? Because I can't hear the mic, but okay, I think that's better. Good. So this piece is called Parable, and it was written at the instigation of Caroline Bergwall, who I know we share a fondness for. So here it is, and then I'll read some newer stuff. Parable. Trees, pillars in nature's temple, speaking vague, perplexing words, shimmers of verbal nuance, often nonsense in this language, obfuscation. Confuse parole easily becomes palabras confusas, not to be taken for confused or subdued words. The adjective describes the word's effect on their recipient, not their own state. The syntax of placement is key. Do they utter darkling whispers? Is theirs a soft language, half strange, half understood? Their messages ramifying. Aviso. La palabra palabra no está en el diccionario. Diccionario histórico de la lengua española. Palabra. Metathesis of the Latin parabola, from the Greek parabole, a comparison, juxtaposition, para, alongside, and bole, a throwing, casting, beam, ray. Parable, doublet of parole, comparison between narration and vulgar Latin and parabola becomes palabra, the word for word. Mathematics. A parabola is a curve where any point is equidistant from a fixed point, the focus, and a fixed straight line, the directrix. An instructive allegory. If an utterance is a curve, all of its points are at an equal but growing distance from its focus. A line of verse is not to be taken for a directrix. Confused, doublet of confound. Confusion, circa 1300. Overthrow, ruin, from Old French, disorder, confusion, shame, 11th century. Confound, circa 1300, to condemn, curse, also to destroy utterly, from Anglo-French confond, Old French confond, 12th century. Crush, ruin, disgrace. All from the Latin confundere, con, together, and fundere, to pour. To confuse, jumble together, bring into disorder, especially of the mind or senses, disconcert, perplex. Sin orden ni concierto. Old English word. Speech, talk, utterance, sentence, statement, news, report, word. From Proto-Indo-European ved, speak, say. A girl stands alone on the road. Her thoughts are in another language. She takes in a playground abutting a gully outside a housing complex at the southern edge of the city. An empty swing set on a concrete platform. Stray dogs on the other side of a wire fence. The wind rustles the foliage of surrounding trees. They speak to her for the first time, yet she can't put what they say into any of the words she knows. She contemplates the dance that initiates the drift of spores, allowing the trees to go on multiplying. Okay. moments that are part of a sequence called Dream Caravan Dream. An exemplary chair marrying wicker and iron. Modern spirited, it support crisp, crisscrossing rods. The seat's materials extracted from and best suited for lounging anywhere in the vast region between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. As if designed for dream recollection, it was sold to me by déjà vu and later placed for optimal vantage. I take my seat and gain a view of the wilderness. It all comes back to me then. I teach at an art school that has relocated to Acapulco. I've arrived to run a couple of workshops on repetition. Faculty have transplanted their New England homes to this port city well past its golden era. Only the tents don't clash with the architecture. Under one of them, a group of students in prairie dresses talk ecstatically about Elle's divination workshop. How do coming events cast their shadows? Sunlight, grasses, breeze, skin clinging heat in the form of humidity. Horse-drawn carriages go by. Where are the palm trees? We are not in Appalachia. One of the artists keeps calling out to me by the wrong names. Clara, Lucia, nearly synonymous with lucidity. I'm off to another dream. My void is called to my sister, said the voice I didn't have. Morning thoughts with the consistency of music. A sustained undoneness. Confession distorted as if in translation. Ions, eons, and other easily confused words. Reduplication, or the erotics of indeterminateness, rendered as a series of folds. In a single sentence, such as, synapses are plastic. Me pierdo en el tiempo. A day's third devoted to shedding dead cells. Analysis, all memory. Other instances include, the more a patch of grass is trampled, the clearer the path becomes. A memory of walking is being created. Also, winding, flim-flam, back to back. When asked what transpired, she heard herself blurt out, I'm not a revenant. Sitting at the edge of the bench with a partial view of the screen unless I make an effort to see the whole picture. When I do, someone complains that I'm blocking the view. Jay, sitting in the audience, starts blasting incomprehensible pronouncements. He's mocking lawmakers who've just passed an outrageous bill in Congress. Expanded cinema. The film is also a book. A young, bedridden woman seeks her true identity. She finds it at the end, but the knowledge makes all that came before acquire a different meaning. We go back to the beginning. On second read, we realize it's her twin who's discovered her identity. The sisters have been next to each other the whole time. One is clothed, and the other one is naked. I turn to the audience and tell them that poetry is law. Explain yourself, someone demands. We owe our feelings, don't we? I ask. The audience begins to disperse. A tourist who's announced he's lodging at the Seasons Hotel watches me put my boots back on after I wipe my feet clean. The floor is full of dirt. The last scene is a close-up of feet. One twin is the right foot, the other one is left. Okay, we're gonna do two more. Two editions of a non-existent book. A probable book in which New York School poets discuss the composition of their works. I'm participating in the launch and have traveled with a group to a city reminiscent of Tokyo. We're trying to find the venue and enter the wrong building. The more we get lost, the less I remember what I'd planned to say. A asked me to go fetch a copy of the book, which she forgot at the hotel. I get even more lost, but manage to locate it. Her copy includes a facsimile of her journals. I can't find the pages I earmarked in my own copy of the second edition. I walk into the auditorium a half hour late, carrying a giant, filthy bat in each hand, which I proceed to hide between velvet curtains. The poets are seated at a picnic table on stage, and there's a Ouija board on the table. M is there. The other A is there too. She tells me to sit on the bench across from her. I would prefer not to. If I want to face the audience, I'd have to turn my back to the other panelists. Also there, D and G with her new boyfriend, although it's not G, it's B. I'm still sore that she lied to me. I'm trapped on stage and have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm relieved when the moderator begins querying us about our own creative processes. There are two planes, one exterior and one interior. The first requires that your antennas are out, that you allow yourself to be guided by whatever is happening outside. The interior one, on the other hand, is like a square by Joseph Albers inside another square that is the exterior of the inner exterior. I lose my train of thought, but the moderator doesn't notice. Her fingers are gliding on the Ouija board. I repeat the poem in Spanish a number of times so I can transcribe it upon waking. It's so simple I can't possibly forget it. Later search takes me to the sole extant recording of Alejandra Pizarnik's voice. She reads a poem by Arturo Carrera whose title translates to written with a nictograph. El escriba ha desaparecido. The phrase future historian of feelings in another notebook. El poema se abre, remembering sediments. Esa es su fuerza. Only the translator might be able to decode them according to the cathartic method. I'm given a book of hers wrapped in craft paper. No trace of the poem, just a password in gift form.
Alrighty. So next we have Vincent, and Vincent's going to be reading with Kevin Holden. I'll do the long bio-embarrassment procedure with Kevin later, because Kevin's also going to be reading again. And after that, we'll have some cello music, and then I'll check the pulse.
So I asked Kevin, my friend Kevin, we've been friends for so long and we co-translate each other. He's just published Pink Noise with Nightboat, a great book that you should definitely read. And I'm currently translating Birch, but we're not going to read Birch, nor are we going to read what you're translating of mine, which is La Langue du Garçon, maybe. We're going to read a little comedy called Critical Beach, Critical Track. And this little comedy I wrote in French and in English, it's based on the 315 experiment that Bernadette Mayer, Liam Brown, Jan Hoffer, and Danica Dinsmore wrote, and Roland Barthes' Comment vivre ensemble, How to Live Together, where he creates this idea of an idiorhythmy. He speaks about idiorhythmy, that is a special rhythm which would allow you to live in a community but at the same time retain your own specific singular rhythm. So, and he speaks about the monks on Mount Athos. All right, so. Introduction. First, I propose that we consider two scenes for today's little comedy, there
and there.
And a question that may be a prophecy.
Does the experience of a collective ritual without communion amount to a proper eremitism?
Or are end-stop lines to a poem what the eremitic life is to the rhythm of a community?
Or if we are the labor of poetry, then who is management when law governs it?
First part, first scene. It is necessary to understand that for a fantasy to appear, one needs a scene, a scenario, and thus a place. The detour of end-stop lines, an experience of collective ritual.
They say timing is a gift, like turquoise. Sky should pull over and share the duet.
C'est en mettant ensemble deux rythmes différents que l'on crée de profondes disturbances.
Translation, when you pull together two timing, like turquoise, you should share moving duet.
Athos, where I've never been, creates a mixture of images, Méditerranée, terrace, mountain. In fantasies, you obliterate filth and faith.
A whole, not in the middle though, punctuation yet agrammatical, asyntactical bodies on critical beaches.
Come to think of it, it is a landscape. I see myself there, on the edge of a terrace, with the sea in the distance, white walls, and 2 rooms for myself and 2 others for friends, not far, plus an opportunity for synaxis.
Note, in French he uses the word synax, a rock and roll star.
Excursus.
The regular movement of the waves.
Actually, the history of the word. Until the Attic period, rhythmos never meant rhythm. It was not applied to the regular movement of the waves. The meaning was distinctive form, proportion figure, disposition. The etymological memory is important to us.
Familiar but late. Someone's kept me in the dark on this.
A second part, second scene.
Late and dark, I want to disappear into the general you, who, you, be, me, we, and the spiritual longing, spiritual awakening, spiritual loneliness has occurred, will occur, because...
At the other end of the stage, back there, also in the shadows, the macro groups, the large communes, the phalansteries, the convents, cenobitism. And why? I mean, why doesn't the fantasy encounter these large forms? Obvious, because they are structured according to an architecture of power. I will come back to this, with their 15-minute period timing, barracks, boarding schools.
What happens at 3:15? One clock says 3:17, but it's probably fast.
Conclusion. Let us say it again. We're looking for a zone between 2 forms of excess.
First, a negative form of excess, solitude, eremitism, the ticking, double, fractured, unframed, pulled apart to unravel.
2, an integrative form of excess, cenobium, secular or not. Are people we do and don't know both and the sound of a different am, so we don't need to go other places?
An in-between, utopian, Edenic, idyllic form. I was dreaming of 4 separate men, each I love with different breath and...
Let us note that this form is very eccentric. It was never totally admitted in the church on Mount Athos in disuse. In fact, the church has always fought it. On the other hand, psychoanalysis was not into the small groups. Let's pick up where we...
Note, she does say, there we.
Let's pick up there we left off. I said globe and you. These are my prophecies of my youth. And so, good night.
Thank you, Kevin and Vincent. That was wonderful. Yeah, you do.
And then,
What can I help you with?
no, you're great. I
Yeah.
just figured if I have this here, it's going to work out more smoothly.
Okay, great.
All right. Good.
Brent Arnold is a cellist and composer. Brent studied with violinist Michael White and cellist Walter Gray. He's done solo cello and electronics and music for concert, theatre, film and dance. He's a founding member of the Ghost Quartet with Dave Lanoy, Kelsey Bell and Britton Ashford. He's the music director and conductor for Robert Blakey, Aubrey Lowe's Candyman performances. He's composer for films including The Saint of the Impossible, and he's collaborated with artists including The Antlers, Ashwini Ramaswamy, Philistine, Randall Dunn, Zola Jesus, Arun Ramamurthy, Jim Jarmusch, Jessica Pafone, DJ Rupture, Andrew Drury, Aditya Kalyanpur, Evan Kang, Jessica Kennedy, Wally Shu, Reggie Watts, Steve Von Till, Sleater Kinney, Modest Mouse, Baby Cophead, and many more. Currently lives in New York. Please welcome Brent.
So nice to be here. sort of an inside joke because I have a music studio here. And I moved into this apartment in 2005.
feeling about carrying on versus taking a break? Carry on? Carry on? Break? Yeah, can we do a little break? 10 minutes? And then come back. Sound good? Then take a short break, grab a drink, go to the bathroom, and then we've got some more readings for you.
So we're on after.
I think
Then we don't do the next finish.
No, exactly.
Oh, no, that's
right.
good. That's better. We'll just do it. Line for line.
Line for line, yeah. Excellent.
No, it's great. Because it's like
With my no, exactly. Yeah,
You're right. No, I just want to say.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's not. No, it's not French.
No, exactly.
But also, you're
It's Broqua. It's Broqua.
Yeah, I mean, it's just broken.